Hello, and welcome to today's deep dive. We are really happy that you are spending your time with us today.
We really are. It is great to have you listening.
If you are listening to this right now, you are on a very specific journey. You are learning the English language as an adult.
Right.
And we know that learning a new language later in life takes a lot of courage. It can feel like you are, well, stepping out into the unknown.
Oh, absolutely. It is a huge challenge.
There are just countless words to remember. There are strange grammar rules to figure out, and cultural differences that can sometimes feel surprising.
Or even frustrating.
Exactly, frustrating. But we want to set some ground rules for our conversation today, right here at the very beginning. This deep dive is designed specifically for you.
Yes, it is a safe space.
It is a relaxed space.
Mm.
We are going to speak clearly, and we are going to speak at a steady, comfortable pace.
Not too fast. Right, not too fast. We are using simple English, but we are going to talk about real, everyday adult situations. You do not need to feel stressed. And you do not need a dictionary for every single sentence we say.
I completely agree with that approach. The goal here is clarity, not speed. When you are learning English, the most important thing is understanding the context. You want to understand the main idea of what people are saying rather than translating every single individual word in your head.
That is such good advice.
So we are going to take our time today. We're going to explore the culture behind the language, and we will make sure that every concept is completely clear. You can just sit back, listen, absorb the information, and hopefully feel a lot more confident by the time we finish.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have some fantastic source material to look at today.
We really do.
It is a 3-part video series. It is titled Learn English at the Restaurant. Easy Conversation for Beginners.
A very clear title. Yes, it is. This series was created by a very helpful channel called the Easy Talk English channel. The series introduces us to 2 main characters. First, we have Sarah.
Right, Sarah is the teacher.
Exactly. She is the helpful guide who provides all the essential phrases. And then we have Mark.
Mark is great.
Mark represents the English learner. He is acting out real-life examples. He's pretending to go out to eat at a restaurant.
Mark is a fantastic focal point for our discussion today. By watching a character like Mark go through these motions, we do not just read a boring textbook. We see a simulation of reality.
Yeah, it feels alive.
It does. We get to hear the actual rhythm of the conversation. And most importantly, we get to analyze the structure of the very simple phrases he uses.
So our mission today is to walk right alongside Mark. We're going to follow him from the moment he stands outside the front door of the restaurant all the way through his meal until the exact moment he pays the final bill and walks back out.
A complete journey.
A complete journey. But we are going to do something a little different than the original video series. The series shows Mark having a perfect, easy experience. But you and I both know that real life is rarely perfect.
No, it almost never is.
So we are going to introduce some real-world chaos. We are going to break the script.
I think that is a vital addition. My role today is to break down exactly why Sarah's advice works so well. We are going to explore the patterns in these simple English phrases so you, the listener, can use them confidently in real life.
Exactly.
But I also want to prepare you for what happens when things do not go exactly according to the plan. What happens if the waiter speaks too fast? What happens if they bring you the wrong food?
Which happens a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
When you know the patterns of the language, you learn a flexible tool. You are not just memorizing a single line. And when you have that flexible tool, you can handle any surprise the restaurant throws at you.
We want you to feel strong, prepared, and ready for reality. So let us begin with section 1. We are looking at the psychology of arriving. We are setting the scene.
The very first step.
In the first episode of the source material, Mark is standing at the front door of a nice restaurant. He mentions that he can smell the delicious food, but then he makes a very honest admission.
He says he is nervous.
Yes, he says he is a bit nervous, and he finds the idea of going inside a little scary. I have to say, I deeply relate to Mark here.
I think we all do.
I remember traveling to Paris a few years ago. I was standing outside a beautiful little cafe. I was so hungry, but I ended up walking away. I went and ate a cold, prepackaged sandwich from a grocery store.
Oh, no.
Just because I was simply too scared to walk through the cafe door and try to speak French.
That is a brilliant example, and it highlights a very common feeling among language learners. It is the pressure of the unknown. Why is entering a restaurant in a foreign language so scary?
Why is it?
Well, you are essentially stepping from the public street into a private, highly structured social space. You know that within seconds of walking through that door, you will be expected to speak. and you will be expected to understand what a stranger says to you.
That is a lot of pressure.
It is. That performance pressure causes genuine fear. It triggers your brain's natural panic response.
It really does.
Yeah.
So if you are listening right now and you have ever felt that way, please know that your reaction is completely normal. Even very advanced learners feel that rush of nervousness.
Absolutely.
But Sarah, the teacher in our series, gives Mark a wonderful first piece of advice to fight this fear. Before she teaches him any English vocabulary at all, she gives him a physical action.
A very simple one.
She tells him, don't worry, just take a deep breath, smile, and say, hello.
That advice is so important. It is grounded in actual human biology.
Oh.
When you are nervous, your heart rate goes up, your breathing becomes very shallow. This can literally make you forget the simple vocabulary you studied so hard to remember.
Your mind just goes blank.
Exactly. By taking a deep breath, you force oxygen into your brain. You signal to your body that you are safe. And the smile. A smile lowers your panic. It sets a friendly tone for the interaction.
Right, because before you even open your mouth to speak English, your body language is speaking for you. A smile tells the restaurant staff that you are friendly. It says you are patient and approachable.
And in places like the United States or Canada, smiling at the staff is very expected. It is a big part of the culture.
So, deep breath, smile, say hello. It sounds so simple, but it is a powerful routine to get you safely through the door. Now, once you are inside, who exactly are you saying hello to?
You need to find the right person.
Right. Sarah introduces a specific vocabulary word for this person. She calls them the host or the hostess.
Yes. The text defines their job clearly. The host or hostess is the person whose specific job is to welcome the guest. They manage the flow of the restaurant and find you a place to sit.
Where do you usually find them?
Usually, you will find them standing immediately inside the front door. They're often standing behind a small, tall desk.
So you're not just wandering around looking for an empty chair. And you are not stopping a random waiter who is busy carrying a tray of hot food.
No, do not do that.
You look for the small desk near the door. That is your first destination. And that brings us to section 2. We are moving from the psychology of the door to the mathematics of dining. It is time to secure a table.
Securing a table is your first real interaction. And Sarah provides Mark with a highly effective, very simple formula for this moment.
It is like the golden rule of seating. The formula she teaches is simply a table for, and then you say the number, and then you say please.
So simple.
Mark practices this by saying, a table for 2, please. And then he asks what to do if he is with a larger group of friends. Sarah simply changes the number. She says, a table for 5, please.
I want to unpack why this formula is so perfect for beginners. It is perfect because of what is missing.
What do you mean?
There is zero complex grammar in that sentence. You do not need to use a difficult verb. You do not need to say, we are a group of 5 people, and we would desire to sit down at a table tonight.
When you are nervous, long sentences are your enemy. You might stumble over the words and lose your confidence right away.
Precisely. Sarah's formula relies on basic words and numbers. A table states exactly what you need. For 2 provides the math, the data the host needs. And please provides the polite tone. A table for 2, please. It is respectful, it is clear, and it sounds perfectly natural.
It is a great formula. But let us break the script for a moment. What if I walk in, I say, a table for 2, please, but the host looks at a computer screen and asks me a question back?
That is a very common hurdle.
The video series brings this up. The host might ask if you have a reservation.
This is a critical vocabulary word. A reservation is an arrangement you make in advance. Sarah explains it beautifully in the text. It means you called the restaurant earlier today, or maybe yesterday, to save a spot. You ensured you have a seat before you even arrived.
If you did plan ahead and call them, Sarah gives Mark the exact phrase to use. She says to reply, yes, I have a reservation under the name Mark.
That phrasing is very interesting.
I think so too. Why do we say under the name? Why don't we say for the name or my name is?
It is a subtle detail. In English hospitality culture, a booking is filed under a specific label in their system. Think of it like a physical paper folder in a filing cabinet. You are telling them which folder to look under. I have a reservation under the name Mark. It is a set phrase that sounds incredibly fluent.
But what if you were just exploring a new city?
Yeah.
You are walking down the street, you see a charming restaurant, and you decide you want to eat there right now. You did not call yesterday. You do not have a reservation.
In the restaurant industry, you are what they call a walk-in.
A walk-in.
Yes. And being a walk-in is completely normal. It is great for spontaneous travel. Sarah provides two excellent backup phrases for this situation. The first is, do you have a table available?
The word available is great there. It just means free or ready to use. And her second phrase is, do you have space for two?
Both are polite. Both are clear. However, since we are preparing you for reality, we need to talk about what happens when the answer is not a simple yes.
Right. If it is a popular restaurant on a Friday night, the host might say, I am sorry, we don't have anything available right now. Or, there is a wait.
The dreaded wait time.
If the host says there is a wait, how should a beginner respond without freezing up in panic?
You want to ask for specific information so you can make a good decision. A great, simple phrase to memorize is, how long is the wait?
How long is the wait?
Exactly. If the host says, it will be about 20 minutes, you can then say, that is fine, we will wait. Or you can say, no thank you, we will go somewhere else. You are in control.
And what if I do not want to stand by the crowded front door for 20 minutes? Can I ask to wait somewhere else?
Absolutely. In many restaurants, especially in North America, there is a bar area where you can sit before your meal. You can ask the host, can we wait at the bar? This makes the wait much more relaxing.
That is a fantastic tip. So let us assume we successfully navigated the door. The host smiles, grabs a couple of menus, and says the magic words.
Call me.
Yes, follow me, or this way, please.
Hearing follow me is your cue that you have succeeded. The host will walk you through the dining room and gesture to your table. You can finally sit down. The initial fear of arrival is officially over.
It is a true victory. Getting to the chair is the first major victory of the night. You are inside, you communicated, and you are seated.
Time to relax a little bit.
Which brings us to section 3, the first interactions at the table. We're going to focus on getting the menus and ordering drinks. Now, usually the host will hand you a menu when you sit down.
Usually, yes.
But the source material prepares us for the scenario where there are no menus on the table. Sarah gives Mark 2 phrases to request them. Let's look closely at these 2 options.
The first phrase is, can I see the menu, please? And the second phrase is, could we have the menu, please?
Now, I want to challenge this just a little bit. A lot of traditional English grammar textbooks will strictly tell learners that the word could is the polite form. And they say the word can is only used for physical ability, like, can I jump?
Right, the strict rules.
They say you should never ask, can I have, in a nice setting. Does this grammar rule really matter when you're just sitting in a restaurant?
That is a very valid point to bring up. Technically, in strict grammar, could is more formal. However, in modern, everyday spoken English, the difference is practically invisible.
Nobody really cares.
Exactly. When you are a beginner, focusing too heavily on strict grammar rules can actually hurt your ability to speak naturally. You get too worried about making a mistake.
So both are okay.
Both can I see and could we have are perfectly polite, especially because they both end with the polite word please. The waiter will not judge your grammar. They just want to know what you need. My advice to you is to choose the phrase that feels easier for your mouth to say and use it with confidence.
I love that approach. Can I see the menu, please? Works perfectly.
Mhm.
Now, here is a fascinating cultural quirk that Sarah mentions in the video. It is about dining in places like the United States or Canada. She explains that people usually order a drink before they even choose their food.
This is a massive cultural difference for many international visitors.
It really is.
In many parts of Europe or Asia, you sit down, you take your time reading the whole menu, and then the waiter comes to take your complete order. Drinks, food, everything all at once.
But in North America, the pace is much faster at the beginning.
Very fast. The culture dictates that a customer should never sit with an empty table. Within maybe 60 seconds of sitting down, a waiter will appear. You might not have even opened the menu yet, and they will prompt you.
They will ask something like, can I get you something to start with? Or just simply something to drink.
We want you to be fully prepared for this early question. Do not feel rushed. It is just the cultural rhythm. And naturally, the most common first drink ordered is water.
Water. It sounds simple, but as Sarah points out, ordering water in English is not always simple.
What's fascinating here is the specific vocabulary around water. Knowing the difference between the types of water is crucial. It prevents confusion, and it prevents unexpected charges on your bill.
Let's break down the 3 distinct types of water from the text. The first type is tap water.
Sarah explains that tap water comes straight from the faucet in the restaurant. In the US, Canada, and the UK, tap water is completely safe to drink. And more importantly, it is free.
Free is always good.
Yes. But if you want free water, you must specifically ask for tap water.
And there's another cultural obsession we should mention. If you order tap water in America, it will almost certainly come filled to the top with cold ice.
Americans really do love ice.
They do. If you prefer room temperature water, which is common in many other countries, you have to break the script. You have to say tap water with no ice, please.
That is a great cultural observation. Now, the second type of water Sarah mentions is still water.
Still water is water served from a bottle. It is smooth, it has no bubbles.
The critical detail here is that because it is in a bottle, it is a product you are buying. If you sit down at a fancy restaurant and simply say, "Water, please," the waiter might bring you a large, heavy glass bottle of imported still water.
And then you get a surprise at the end.
Yes. You might be shocked at the end of the meal to see a charge of $8 or $10 just for water.
That has happened to me, and it is a terrible feeling. The third type is sparkling water. This is also from a bottle, meaning it costs money, but it is carbonated. It has bubbles.
Knowing these three exact terms, tap, still, and sparkling, gives you total control. You decide what you drink and what you pay for.
In the video, Mark decides he wants something sweet. He does not want water. He says, "I'll have a Coke with ice, please."
Yes.
Now, Sarah really praises this sentence structure. She calls it a very natural way to order. Let's analyze the magic of the phrase, "I'll have."
I'll have is short for I will have. It is perhaps the most valuable building block in this entire deep dive. It is the ultimate foundation for the rest of the meal.
Why is it better than saying, if I say I want a Coke, the waiter still understands me, right?
They will understand you, yes. But tone matters immensely. I want sounds a bit like a demand from a child, and saying give me sounds like an order given to a servant, which is considered very rude.
So I'll have is the polite middle ground.
Exactly. I'll have strikes the perfect balance. It is a statement of your choice, delivered nicely. Native speakers use it for almost everything. I'll have a coffee. I'll have the chicken. It is incredibly versatile.
It is the magic key phrase. But let us break the script again. Let's say the waiter approaches the table. They ask what you want to drink. But they speak incredibly fast.
They often do.
They say something like, "Hey folks, how we doing tonight? Can I get you started with some drinks?" It sounds like one giant confusing word. If you are a beginner, you panic. What do?
That is a very real scenario. Waiters are busy. They speak quickly out of habit. The worst thing you can do is just nod your head and pretend you understood them.
So what should you say?
It is perfectly okay to ask them to slow down. You can say, "Excuse me, could you repeat that, please? A little slower."
Is it okay to tell them you are learning English?
Absolutely. Saying, "I am still learning English, could you please speak a bit slower?" is a wonderful strategy. Almost all service workers will immediately adjust their pace. They will smile, and they will appreciate your effort. Being honest removes the awkwardness.
That is great advice. Own your learning journey. Do not be ashamed of it. Okay, let's move on to section 4. You have your drinks. It is time to navigate the menu structure and order the main meal.
In part 2 of the source material, Mark is getting hungry. He is ready to look at the food.
Menus can be overwhelming. There are so many words. But Sarah helps Mark decode the menu sections. She identifies the 2 most important categories. The first section is usually labeled appetizers.
Mark asks a very clear question in the video. He asks if appetizers are the small plates.
Yes, the small plates.
Sarah confirms this. Appetizers are designed to stimulate your hunger before the primary meal. They're usually shared with the table or eaten alone as a light introduction. Things like a small bowl of soup or a little salad.
Right. You eat them while you wait for the big event. And the big event is found in the section labeled entrees or main courses.
I am glad Sarah includes both of these words. This terminology can actually be quite confusing depending on where you are traveling.
How so?
Well, in American English, the word entree specifically means the main largest dish of the meal, the big plate. However, in Europe, the word entree often refers to the appetizer, the entry to the meal.
Oh, that is tricky.
It is. So it is very helpful that Sarah also teaches the term main course. Main course is universally understood everywhere to mean the big plate.
That is a great distinction. So you are looking at the main courses. The waiter returns. They ask the classic question, "Are you ready to order?"
Here is where Mark uses his tools. Sarah reminds him to use the core phrases. I would like the, or our magic key phrase, I'll have the.
Mark makes his choice. He looks at the waiter and says, "I would like the grilled chicken, please."
It is a perfect sentence. He uses polite framing with I would like. He identifies the specific food with the grilled chicken, and he finishes with please.
But the video series pauses here to give us a specific sub-lesson. It is a lesson about ordering beef.
Yes, the steak sub-lesson.
Sarah points out that if you order a steak or even a nice beef hamburger, the conversation does not end there. The waiter will automatically ask you a follow-up question.
The waiter will ask, "How would you like your steak cooked?"
This question can really throw beginners off guard. I remember an embarrassing story from my early days of traveling.
What happened?
I ordered a steak. The waiter asked, "How would you like that cooked?" I did not understand the question at all. I panicked. I just smiled very widely and loudly said, "Yes, thank you."
Oh, wow.
The waiter looked so confused. I just sat there feeling completely foolish. I had no idea what he wanted me to say.
That is a hilarious story, but it is so relatable. When you do not expect a question, your brain just tries to offer a polite, generic response. To prevent our listeners from saying yes, thank you to a steak question, Sarah breaks down the 3 options Mark needs to remember.
Let's detail those 3 options. The first is rare.
Rare means the meat is cooked for a very short time. It is cooked on the outside, but the inside remains very red.
The second option is medium.
This is the middle option. The meat is cooked well on the outside, and it is warm and pink in the center.
And the final option Mark remembers is well done.
Well done means the meat is cooked completely through. There is no pink color left inside. It is brown all the way through.
If you are going to order beef, you must remember these 3 words. Rare, medium, well done. Mark handles the question perfectly in the video. He replies, "I like my medium, please."
He was ready for the question.
He was. Let's break the script again, though. Mark ordered the grilled chicken, and he knew what to say. But what happens if you place your perfect order and the waiter shakes their head? What if they say, "I am so sorry, but we are sold out of the chicken tonight"?
That happens. Restaurants run out of food. When the waiter says they are sold out, the pressure is suddenly back on you. You have to make a new choice.
Do I have to choose something new immediately, right in that second?
No, you do not. You have 2 excellent backup options. The first option is to buy yourself some time. You can say, "Oh, okay, could you give me a minute, please?" The waiter will walk away, let you read the menu again, and come back later.
That is a relief. What is the second option?
The second option is to ask for help. You can ask the waiter, "Oh, that is a shame. What else do you recommend?" Let them guide you to another good dish.
I love that. Could you give me a minute, please? This is such a helpful phrase to stop the panic. So let's move into section 5. We are going to discuss customization and safety. Customization means changing your order so it fits exactly what you want.
Sometimes learners think that the menu is a strict rule book. They think they cannot change anything. But in North American restaurants, customizing your meal is standard practice.
They do not get angry if you ask to change something.
Not at all. It is very normal.
So if you do not like a certain side dish, you can change it. In our story, Mark likes the idea of a sandwich. But he does not want the French fries that come with it. He wants to be healthier. He asks Sarah how to request a change.
Sarah gives him what she calls the perfect phrase. She teaches him to use the words instead of.
Mark asks the waiter, "Can I have a salad instead of fries?" Let's analyze this because it is so powerful for learners. Why is instead of so good?
It empowers the listener to take control of their meal without needing complicated vocabulary. You do not need to say, "Please do not bring the fries, I would prefer to eat the salad." You just use a simple formula.
State what you want, say instead of, and then state what you do not want.
Exactly. A salad instead of fries, rice instead of potatoes. It is clean and efficient.
It is the perfect tool for preference. But while customizing for taste is nice, customizing for physical safety is an absolute necessity.
Yes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the source material shifts here to the most critical topic of the entire lesson: food allergies.
Sarah highlights this with a serious warning. She says this is very important.
An allergy is when your body reacts dangerously to a specific food. If you have a food allergy, you must know how to say it clearly in English. This is not about being polite, it is about staying safe.
The basic life-saving structure to practice is, I am allergic to, and then the food.
The text gives clear examples. I am allergic to peanuts.
Peanuts are a very common allergy. And the second example is, I am allergic to seafood. Seafood means anything from the ocean, like fish or shrimp.
The expert stresses to the listener that memorizing this specific phrase should be a top priority for anyone traveling with dietary restrictions. But I want to ask about the real-world dangers here. What if I say, I am allergic to seafood, and I order chicken, but the chef cooks my chicken in the exact same pan they used for shrimp?
You are describing cross-contamination. It is a major safety issue. If your allergy is severe, you need to add one more sentence to protect yourself.
Washares.
You say, I am severely allergic to seafood. Please make sure there is no cross-contamination. Using the word severely tells the waiter it is a medical emergency and not just a dislike.
And what about hidden ingredients, like milk or butter hidden in a sauce?
You have to ask direct questions. Point to the menu and ask, does this sauce have dairy in it? If the waiter seems unsure and says, I don't think so, do not accept that answer.
Push back respectfully.
Yes. Say, could you please check with the chef to be absolutely sure I have a severe allergy?
Could you please check with the chef? That is a brilliant phrase. Your safety is always more important than worrying about perfect English. Okay, moving on to section 6. We have our safe, delicious meal. Mark has finished eating his grilled chicken.
Moving to part 3 of the series.
Yes, part 3. We are looking at mid-meal check-ins and the approach to dessert. While you are eating, the waiter will usually return to the table. In the video, the waiter asks Mark, how is everything tasting?
This is a social ritual. When the waiter asks, how is everything tasting? They are just engaging in a polite hospitality check. They do not want a deep critique of the food.
They do not want you to complain that the chicken needed more salt.
No, this interaction is just a polite social exchange. They want to know you are okay so they can go do other work.
So the correct polite response that Mark uses is very brief. He says, it's delicious, thank you.
It perfectly concludes that brief interaction. It is positive and polite.
But let's break the script. What if there's a factual mistake? What if I ordered chicken, but the waiter brings me fish? I know learners who are so scared to speak English that they will just quietly eat the fish they didn't want.
It is the path of least resistance. But you are paying for this meal. It is acceptable to correct a mistake.
How do you do it politely?
Start with our golden phrase.
Yep.
Excuse me. Then state the mistake softly. Say, excuse me, I think there might be a mistake. I actually ordered the chicken, not the fish.
I think there might be a mistake. That is very polite. It does not sound angry.
The waiter will apologize and fix it immediately. Now, speaking of getting attention, what if you need more of that tap water? Mark needs to flag the waiter down. He uses a specific phrase. Excuse me, can I have some more water, please?
Sarah highlights the golden rule here. Always start with, excuse me, to respectfully get the waiter's attention.
We should talk about body language here, too. Do not snap your fingers in the air. Do not whistle. That is considered incredibly rude.
Just raise your hand slightly, make eye contact, and say, excuse me.
Perfect.
So the empty plates are gone. We reach the sweet spot. Dessert. The host excitedly introduces the next question from the waiter. Would you like to see the dessert menu?
Mark uses a very clever strategy here. He does not ask for the menu. He asks the waiter, what do you recommend?
I love that. Asking for a recommendation is a brilliant tool for learners. It takes the pressure off reading the menu. It allows the listener to practice listening to the waiter's English.
It is a great listening exercise. Mark listens to the waiter, and his final choice is the chocolate cake.
A classic choice. Which brings us to our final section, section 7, the grand finale. Paying and leaving. The meal is finished. You need to ask for the paper that shows how much you owe.
The source text gives us 2 vocabulary words for this paper, the bill or the check.
Mark learns the simple request phrase, can I have the check, please? You can also say, can I have the bill, please?
Either one works perfectly.
But before we pay, the expert draws attention to a highly specific cultural rule mentioned by Sarah. In the U.S., you must remember to leave a tip.
Yes, a tip is extra money added on top of the food cost. It is given directly to the waiter. For many international visitors, this is completely confusing.
Why do we have to do extra math at the end of dinner?
It is a complex system, but it is the reality of American dining. Waiters are often paid a very low base wage. The expectation is that the customer's tip will make up the difference. It is how they pay their rent.
Knowing this in advance removes the stress and confusion.
Right.
What is the exact amount provided in the text?
The text says it is usually 15 to 20% of the total bill. If service was okay, 15%. If it was great, 20%.
Now, handling the payment. Mark asks the waiter, do you take credit cards?
This is a highly useful phrase to ensure you can actually pay before the awkward moment of handing over a plastic card. Some small places might only accept cash.
It is good to ask early. So the bill is paid. Mark gets ready to leave. Sarah reminds Mark not to forget one final interaction.
As he leaves, passing the host at the door, she tells him to say, "Thank you, have a great night."
I really love how this brings the experience full circle. You start at the door with a polite hello, and you end at the door with a warm, have a great night. It frames the entire language experience with kindness.
It shows you've gone from an anxious learner to a successful communicator.
It is a success story. And with that, let's summarize the journey today. We want to congratulate you, our listener. Together, we have walked with Mark through the entire restaurant experience,
From taking that deep breath at the door.
navigating the complex water choices, customizing the meal with the phrase instead of,
Handling food allergies safely.
and finally paying the bill with the correct tip. Remind yourself that by using simple formulaic phrases like "I'll have" and "excuse me," ordering food doesn't have to be scary at all.
You have the tools now.
So here is our call to action for you. We are echoing the prompt from the Easy Talk English channel. I want to ask you directly, what is your favorite restaurant? Think about it right now. And I encourage you to practice thinking about how you would order there in English. Run the simulation in your head.
Mental rehearsal is powerful.
As we wrap up, the expert leaves you with a final thought to ponder. We have learned all the perfect scripts for when things go exactly right today. But consider this. What happens when the script breaks entirely?
What if the waiter asks a question that wasn't in Mark's lesson at all?
Think about how mastering these basic foundational phrases gives you the calm confidence needed to eventually step off the script. When you are calm, you can start to improvise. You stop translating and you start truly communicating. You make the language your own.
Knowing the rules gives you the freedom to break them later.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope you feel relaxed and ready to order your next meal in English. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and we will see you next time.